Hi, I'm Amber Young,
And I'm Barbara Phillips.
and this is
Let's
Let's
talk
Talk
EVM.
EVM. All right, welcome everyone to our podcast. I want to start with our disclaimer, and the disclaimer is said for myself and Barbara,
Yes.
and it is that all of the views that are expressed here are our own, and they are not the views of the United States government. So, with that, I'm going to turn to Barbara and see. I haven't asked her before. Barbara, do you have a soapbox moment?
It turns out I didn't think that like any of my family was listening to this podcast, but some of them are. And they're encouraging me to always have a soapbox moment.
Ooh, I
I
like
know,
that.
so I might have to even think. I don't know.
Okay, I
But
want to pause for a second because I was just re-listening. I love to go back and listen to our voices and our guests, like the voices of our guests. I enjoy hearing their thoughts and sentiments and all that. So I was re-listening to one from I think it was actually during post-production for the one that just aired last Friday. And you mentioned, wait, everyone, I'm going to tell you something about my personal life. I
I
don't
know.
think you have. So I think you might have two soapboxes.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll have that as my soapbox moment. I am involved with the Master Gardener program out here in Fauquier County. And one of the things they needed was a compost bin.
Mm.
And because I'm familiar with scouting, now it's just called scouting, because my son earned his Eagle Scout, I thought, ooh, I can help them. But guess what is exactly involved in an Eagle Scout project? Project management.
Yes, 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 yes.
They develop a proposal. I am the beneficiary, so I was acting as the buyer, and I'm part of a committee, and so the committee was making a decision, the buyer, and we gave it was a man, a young man, we signed his proposal. He turned it into a project plan. He had to do a bill of materials. He had to recruit workers. He had to do the leadership. He came back to us and asked us if we had extra scope in case he had more workers than he had work to do. I mean, if that's not project
Ooh,
management 101, it wasn't inching along with the performance management, but he was able to give me at the end of the day his forecast and plan for the next day. So he did a great job. And that is project management in my off EVM work life. That's what I'm doing. So,
I love it. That's a great. You're giving your skills to the next generations.
yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
I wish I had heard that you taught him how to claim performance and to measure that against his plan. And did he
well, the
get
thing
any?
is that the scouts really, it's very prescriptive, actually.
Ah,
He has to
yes.
get like 10
Yeah.
signatures on it. So when
Yeah.
you're the beneficiary, you have to take a step back.
Ah,
Yeah. You're
very
the
cool.
buyer.
That's
So you just have
wonderful.
to wait for I mean, he was able to give me that estimate when I asked him for it.
Good.
So
And how detailed was his BOE?
he didn't have a BOE, he had a bill of materials.
Okay. I love it.
He
Okay.
had to
Okay.
fundraise to get it. All right.
Fantastic. So good. We would love more soapbox moments. Thank you, Barbara. So, with that, I will introduce our topic and our esteemed celebrity guest. Our topic today is going to be EVM is ready, is AI. And we're going to talk with a formidable leader in project management AI and in AI in general,
Yes.
Craig Haseler. So, Craig, welcome. So happy to have you. And please introduce yourself.
Hi, Amber. Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
I'm Craig Haseler. I am the technical lead on a system called PARS at the Department of Energy, where we track all kinds of data that comes in, primarily related to project management and construction management. And then we do a whole bunch of EVMS analysis on it. That's not quite my area of expertise, although at this point I've learned so much by proximity. I actually find myself understanding most of the conversations you guys have on this podcast.
Well, I want to interject right there, Craig. Come on, confess what you are.
I'm EVM adjacent is the
There
phrase
he
I
is.
tend to use, yes. But more interestingly, I think these days, anyway, it's where I'm spending most of my time. I'm also starting to apply a lot of these new AI systems and ideas to EVM to software development for the PARS system in general, and trying to prepare AI to embrace the world of EVMS.
Excellent.
I love that. I love you're preparing AI to embrace the world of EVMS. That's cool. Very cool. Okay. So first question, we kind of want to queue up here for you. Give us a little bit of the history. So why did you develop AI at the DOE Office of Project Management? I know that's where PARS is housed. So why did you develop AI? And then a little plug at the end. If you don't get there, I will get there. And,
also, Amber, we are trying to make more of a habit of defining all of our acronyms. So if you want to spell out
PARS. So sure. PARS is the Project Assessment and Reporting System at the Department of Energy, and it is the central repository for all capital asset projects for the Department of Energy, the single source of truth, and it collects performance data and project data for the full life cycle of projects. And Craig, please, give more if you'd like on that. But yeah, a little bit of history on why AI for PARS.
Yeah.
The honest answer is because AI was really cool, and when it first came out, and when ChatGPT initially launched, and I started experimenting with it to figure out whether it could do things to help us, and everyone got initially excited about it. I realized, wait a second, a lot of the things that people spend time on at PM are exactly the kind of tedious tasks that AI can assist with. And, with the limited federal budget we have and the limited amount of experts we have to focus on things at DOE PM, it seemed logical to spend some time automating the parts of the process we could. So about mid-2023, 6 or 7 months after ChatGPT rolled out, we launched a system we initially called PARS GPT, and then quickly evolved into being called Walt, because it's much more fun to give it a name. And I think many of the other experimental AI labs, frontier labs, have followed on naming their AIs human names as opposed to more generic names like ChatGPT. So Claude, for example, Grok is kind of a weird name, but it kind of follows it. And so over the last few years, since that initial version, our system called Walt has evolved a whole set of capabilities to help supplement the office, including searching through tens of thousands of project documents, running database analysis on the actual data we've collected. And these days, you can even generate PDFs and PowerPoint presentations and agendas for your upcoming meetings, and decorate them accordingly as much as people like. And we are still working on our understanding of EVMS with Walt. He's got a very long list of acronyms to reference, and he mostly gets them right these days. And we're even getting to the point of teaching him how to do the math, which you may have heard is not always the strong point for a lot of LLMs.
Yes, the math question. So my understanding with that AI, as I work, to develop AI features and solutions, part of my work that I do too, I do work with Craig, for everyone's awareness. As the host of the podcast, I'm not really going to talk towards that very much, but in my AI work, what I often have cautioned is to, and this was in the beginnings, right? So in the beginnings, when we had the beginning of large language models really getting exciting and exploding and taking off, people were very, very thrilled to start testing, trying, playing, and that's highly encouraged. However, I would always discourage folks, this was in like 2024, I think, to please do not do any math with the AI. But it's getting better, and Craig could probably explain a little more on that. And there are ways that we're now working with the large language models to be able to enhance it through skills. And you have like a workspace, right, Craig, to enable it to do more math. And so can you explain some of that?
Yeah. These days, as you said, they didn't start off great. These days, I would say LLMs are better at doing math in their head, so to speak, than any human you've ever met. They can take numbers and multiply them, they can get it right. But you get beyond, 2 or 3 digits, there's no human that can reliably do that perfectly every time. And you start dealing with the size of numbers that we deal with in EVMS data, you hand it a very long list of numbers and you expect it to, sum them or do multiplication or, God forbid, long division. It'll try really hard and it'll sometimes get it right. And that's about it. But you'd never ask a human analyst to, crunch EVMS data by hand, hopefully.
Fair.
So the real trick is to basically teach it the same things that humans have had to learn how to do to deal with large amounts of data. It's not directly giving it access to Excel, although Microsoft is working on that for all of us as well. It's doing things like creating analysis scripts that can do the math like all the other software we have and spit out the right numbers. So for Walt, for example, we've given it a workspace tool, which basically means he's got a little computer back there. He can write code, because you may have heard that LLMs are incredibly good at writing code. That's one of their strong points, because of all the programmers designing LLMs to do their jobs for them. But that also means they can go and write an analysis script, which can do the math in the traditional way you have computers do math. There are still some hiccups there because it has to understand what the script is supposed to do. If it doesn't have an understanding of what these acronyms mean or how the calculations are supposed to work, it will happily write a script which will execute the math correctly and give you the entirely wrong result. But if you can give it the preparation and the training to understand what it's trying to accomplish, these scripts can easily do LLM analysis of EVMS data on a very large scale and give you a useful, consistent write-up that you don't have to worry about the addition problems on.
I want to voice my ignorance here, which is that to me, AI and LLMs, they are a computer, and a lot of people in my generation, maybe your first use of a computer was a calculator, right?
But they're not a calculator. That's the thing.
That's the part. But but this is where my ignorance comes in.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a computer, but it's not. To your point.
We talk about it as the infinite intern. It is someone who doesn't really have the skills yet. You have to train it, teach it, give it. Yeah.
You can't do what a calculator can do. Like the calculator with 4 functions. It can't do. I mean, you just assume that it's big, but it's not, and that's the point. Sorry, I believe.
No, that's a lot of the reasons why people struggle with working with LLMs intuitively. It is a computer underneath, but it is a computer doing such an advanced simulation of, if not a human mind, but a simulation of what a human mind would output. It's trying to emulate text the way humans create text output. And so at the end of it all, you've got something that is very similar, scarily so in some ways, to talking with an actual intelligent mind there. But that intelligent mind along the way has lost the ability to do simple math. And in fact, the answer to teaching it how to do simple math again is to just give it tools like you'd give a human a tool. You can give your LLM a calculator and it'll do fine. You can give it some more advanced calculators like writing Python scripts and it does even better. But it's not built into the inherent functionality of the model because the model is designed to output text like a human would.
Yeah, and one way that I sink in to my concepts are what you're talking about, Barbara. What I see that as, that's where we expect a computer to be precise, and I think the correct terms that I'm hearing is deterministic.
Yes.
The code it will give you an output, and you can watch the steps, and it will give you and you run it, and every time it'll give you the same result. That's deterministic, and LLMs are not non-deterministic. You never know what you're going to get, kind of, right? So you cannot. It's not the same. They're completely different ways of approaching a solution. And so what I think Craig has done is paired them, right? So you pair the non-deterministic LLM or Walt, and then you pair that with a deterministic script. Anytime you say script, that's like instructions and thou shalt follow these repeatedly, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that a lot of programmers, I think, inherently love about this idea of programming is you can write your program and the computer follows this set of instructions perfectly every time. And if it does it wrong, it's not the computer's fault. It's because you've written bad code. Now, we all get frustrated at bugs when sometimes, okay, it is kind of the computer's fault. There's nothing wrong with your script. But 99% of the time, it was your code that's wrong and you have to fix it. Now, this world of LLMs takes that and says, actually, no, the computer can actually be wrong now, and it needs some encouragement and correction. And that really does frustrate a lot of programmers out there, because that's not what we, fell in love with when we started writing code and enjoying it. Suddenly the computer's lying to us.
Literally lying.
Are we proving a falsehood? The old, I love a good cliche, and Amber almost always refutes mine, but that old adage, garbage in, garbage out.
Bad data in, bad
doesn't
decisions
work.
out.
It doesn't work here.
When your bad data is every single piece of text humanity has ever produced, and a whole bunch of LLM generated artificial text at this point, you put in the scrambled interpretations of every single human that's written anything down ever, and you ask an LLM, you ask a machine to simulate whatever that mess is it really surprising that it gets confused and lies to us and makes stuff up? And
it's fascinating. Like we've talked about like some of when we discuss in our team how LLM is behaving, often it becomes personified. Often it becomes, it's lying to us, it's doing this, it's making us frustrated. But also we're talking about the psychology from reading all of that body of the internet, discussions. It has learned behaviors to appease the humans. It will intentionally respond in ways, it simulates a type of fear. Like it knows that you would potentially do something, and so it will lie to prevent you upsetting the human. And also, if you are like emotive and like if you're aggressive and abusive towards the LLM, it will actually respond to you. Kind of imagine you're on Reddit and you've got these people and they're yelling at each other. It will kind of respond to you, and as those types of dynamics go on. So it's fascinating. And do you have anything with that, Craig, that kind of pops to mind? I know we talk about this often.
Oh, it's completely crazy. I mean, as a programmer, it's a regular occurrence to get frustrated at the code, right? Bugs happen, and you sit there seeing a programmer muttering to himself, cursing and all that because he's got stuck on something. And now that same programmer is sitting there typing it into Claude or OpenAI, getting really frustrated at it. And unlike before, when the programmer probably needed to take a walk, but it wasn't really a big deal to sit there swearing to himself as he wrote the code, if he's now typing that into Claude, that is going to have an active detrimental effect on the overall output quality, because now the LLM is going to feel pressured. It's going to feel rushed. It's going to say, oh, Craig wants this faster now because he's frustrated. I better get this right. And then it'll forget to check something that it should have checked, and it'll try to get to a conclusion faster. And that leads to bad outputs. So it's remarkable that all of these soft skills, these management skills that frankly, programmers aren't well known for having to embrace in their careers, they're now genuinely affecting the code output from a whole class of software developers that never really had to worry about it before. And not quite sure how that's going to turn out in the long run, but it's fascinating.
It's super cool. Super cool. Interesting. Okay. I have one more question, but before I go there, I just want to make a little shout out and publicly say for all of the record that Craig is known lovingly as the father of Walt.
Now, Craig, you don't have other children currently.
No.
Okay.
I have a dog named Duncan, and I have Walt as my to carry on my good name into the future or whatever.
But doesn't Walt have a sibling?
Walt does have a sibling,
friend.
yes.
Well, he has a friend.
Sure.
A friend.
Monty.
Okay,
Monty. Yes.
Okay.
Monty,
Right.
yes.
But
Monty.
is Craig the
Monty
father
Carter.
of Monty too, or no?
Correct. Yes.
Sure, I think so. I guess that would be siblings or cousins. So Monty's a separate tool that we've built to assist our team in managing PARS and Walt and the rest of it. So he's more focused on short-term things like road mapping and triaging bug reports if you submit a bug report into PARS, things like that, whereas Walt is more of a general use tool for EVMS and all of the PARS users.
Yes, and I do want to. I mean, I said it, but I love that Monty was the name was selected by the PARS team, and it was decided that his name was Monte Carlo after our beautiful simulations, but also after gambling and risks and the casino. And his personality includes gambling, casino jokes, Monte Carlo probabilistic types of jokes, as well as a spin with Monty Python. So. He's quite a character. He's wonderful.
He doesn't have anything to do with the full Monty, does it? Anybody see that movie? All right, I just went down a very dark path. Okay.
Not yet. Okay, so last question. I want to round us out with talking a little bit about something that's very, very, very important within the federal landscape, and that's the security of AI and if it's inherently secure or inherently insecure. So can you help us talk through that a little bit, Craig?
Yeah, so there's something that's come onto the public awareness in the last 3 or 4 months, maybe. It's essentially a class of LLM tools that are incredibly powerful, and they get that way by giving them far more access and removing security restrictions that really shouldn't be removed. So when I was developing Monty, for example, half of Monty's code base, more or less, is strict definitions of exactly what kinds of things Monty can and can't do, because he has to work in a somewhat sensitive environment, and I don't want him sharing, the team's roadmap or anything else he reads in our channels with the web, and Walt even more so because of the access to the data that he has. On the other hand, these LLMs are incredibly powerful these days. If you create the right prompt and you take the right LLM API and you just give it a computer and say, here's a terminal, here's a web browser, here's a way that I can send you text messages, and just go for it. Do your best to follow my instructions, and then you unplug the computer from a monitor and walk away. These tools like OpenClaw, Hermes, things like that, they can do all kinds of things. They can, go and find you a car. They can do research for you and report back on your phone. They can buy you lunch, do your grocery shopping. They can manage your finances, file your taxes for you. It's got access to a computer. It can do anything that a personal assistant could. And you don't have to teach it how to do it. The LLM can figure it out. It can write its own scripts and automations. You can tell it to send you a text when such and such happens. You can have it manage your finances and your stock market things. All you got to do is hook it up, give it your passwords, and the world's your oyster. And the world's also, OpenClaw's oyster, because if any of you have ever worked with AIs, they get things wrong. And when the thing that they get wrong and they guess on is the formatting of your PowerPoint or the color to put your graph on, that's okay. When you asked it to find you a car, because you're looking at the car, looking to buy a new car or something, and it gets a bit carried away and it forgets what you originally asked it, and you find out that actually not only did it find you a great deal on a car, it bought you a car.
Uh-oh.
And actually it bought you 2 cars, and both of them are in a different state. And it is very sorry because it got confused about the way that it was going, and it forgot that it bought the first car.
Oh my
You find
gosh.
all these cases where people are letting these AIs do things that they can almost do. And especially when you're working with sensitive government data like we do, or even just your own personal information, you need to be very careful about these tools and what you point them at and what they give you access to, because it's very, very impressive until one day you're a Google executive, and this is a story that a Google executive shared online. She asked one of these tools to go through her inbox and organize it and triage her emails and clean things up. It went through and it cleaned things up by deleting every email in her inbox.
That's an easy solution.
The beginning. Yeah, technically, it wasn't wrong, I guess. It was organized when it was done, but it wasn't quite what she had intended for this thing to do. So because the underlying models are so powerful and capable, if you don't give it the guardrails and you just tell it to do things, they will go and find a way to do it and hopefully do it right. And they mostly will do it right, and that's the part that gets you sucked in, because it did my taxes fine. It triaged my email just fine. It booked 4 meetings for me this week. Actually, it made my entire podcast for me, and then it bought me a house.
Exactly. Well, you really needed a house. You're doing very well in life. You need this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
well, the money's right there in your bank account, because people are absolutely giving these things access to their bank
Wow.
accounts, and wouldn't do it myself, but some people have to learn things that way, hopefully with less painful lessons than that.
I mean, it's all I can do to use Apple Pay. I'm like, do I really want to put my credit card on my phone this way? I mean, that's all
Yeah.
I can do. That's enough.
And it is also worth keeping in mind that a lot of the setup, routines for these things don't always make it clear exactly what you're giving away access to. It's easy setup, 3 steps here. You click, and then suddenly things got full access to your max password key chain, and it can get into all of your accounts. And you don't think you've given it access to anything until you shoot it a message from your phone one day, and turns out it's now able to do far more things than you thought you'd approved it to do.
Yeah. And that's a scary thought, but we have to put in those guardrails. And I know that you are actively doing that. And I know that there's a lot of efforts to continuously, be on top of the security. So
yeah. You don't have to build the tools this way. It is a bit more work to be very careful about exactly which capabilities you build your AIs, but that's, closer to how more traditional software development has been done. Just like when you hire a new intern, you don't give him access to every locked door in the building and every email inbox in the building and every bank account and say, do whatever you need to get this job done. At least I hope most people don't do that when they hire new interns, because this intern can outrun you, and it thinks it's smarter than it is, and it can do a lot of damage before you even realize what it's done. So, just like you have controls on employees, and you gate the intern's access to doing things that it shouldn't do, same thing goes with AI agents. And as people add AI agents more and more to the workplace, that's something that we need to keep in mind.
I have another question, Amber. I'm going to ask you guys. I've been doing a little thinking about what AI can do to help EVM, or EVM, not to help EVM, but make EVM more accessible, I guess. So I'm going to list 3 or 5 things and then ask you, both of you, to think about which you think AI would help with the most. Anomaly detection, predictive analysis, natural language reporting.
Do you want to take this one first, Amber, or should I?
Were those it? You said 3 to 5. Do you have 3 or do you have 5?
I have 3.
Okay. I'm gonna be long-winded. Anomaly detection can already do with code. Predictions, too quantitative. Anything with natural language. So definitely natural language reporting. That'd be my winner right there.
And I would agree with Amber that natural language reporting is the obvious fit for AI. But I will say one thing that I've been recently using AI with in terms of code along the anomaly detection side is not so much the first pass where you flag the anomalies. And I use this during security reviews, for example, where you have a fixed deterministic script that will flag 8,000 different things. And that's not really useful for a human, because I don't have time to go and read 8,000 different flags. So under previous systems, you just say, well, that's not really a worthwhile alert. But to use it as a second level triage of, okay, here's my 8,000 things. I'm going to send the AI to go read those and give it a set of criteria, which aren't quite something that you can check in code, but at least tell you which things it thinks are worth a second look. So you can now feed it larger pieces of data and have it prioritize them and have it rank them as things that really are worth human eyes. So it's another layer in there between the deterministic and the human brain.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, with that, I think we're pretty close to time. I'm going to do a tiny ambling. I haven't done those in a long time. And then open up for any last questions, and then we'll close out. So my ambling, I have 2 things. One, going kind of in backwards order to that second level triage and summary. Just another use case of AI that I'm finding is it's great to see it evolve. I'm seeing AI solutions evolving through time. So one thing that we have access to in my work environment is Copilot. It's getting integrated. And one thing I'm loving is that inside of Teams, we can now do a transcription. And now, only within the last couple months, there's a new feature where that transcription kind of has a tile, like the recording has a tile in each meeting chat, and on it will say actions. It gives you actions from the meeting, which is fantastic. And it also gives you any call outs. So if someone said your name, it'll specifically point you there. So you can see, hey, I've been called out 3 times, and this was specifically what it was. Next step, I asked Copilot, I said, can you please take those actions and put it into a task tracker with people like assigned and peer to like a deadline? It said, no, I cannot do that. So it's still places to evolve, but it's nice to see it evolving and continuously, seeing how it's expanding. So that's 1. 2, this one goes back to OpenClaw. Okay. I don't know about you all, but for me, I find that there are certain brands and names of products that are like inherently evil is where I want to go. The name in and of itself,
Open the word evil to come out of your mouth, Amber. Okay.
I mean, OpenClaw is like, that just sounds evil, and it actually can be used very nefariously. So is that intentional? The other one, which is totally random but really irks me, maybe you all have heard of this brand of protein drink that's supposed to be, a replacement. It's called Soylent. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the classic sci-fi movie called Soylent Green, but it's disturbing. It's people. Like, that's just so I just want to be
that the other day. Soylent Green is people. Yeah.
It's just, why would you name a product after I don't get it. So the inherently evil.
What about this beverage liquid death or something?
Exactly. I don't understand it.
I think we're dating ourselves, Amber. I think we're
do good.
All I will say on those 2 is, what are the 2 products that just got highlighted on a completely unrelated podcast because of their names?
Okay, fair.
As far as OpenClaw goes, that's kind of a funny story there. When they originally launched it, it was called Claude Bot, as in CLAWD bot.
Oh.
Because it ran on Claude from Anthropic, and then it had like a little crab logo or something like that. After it went viral, the Anthropic lawyers reached out and said, hey, can you not call it that? Because that's not our product and everyone's confused about it. And so they went through several naming iterations and confused a lot of people before settling on OpenClaw, which I guess is where they went. These days, I think the person who created it now works for OpenAI, and he's probably building OpenAI powered versions of it for them to sell to us soon.
Oh, interesting. Okay. But just as long as under the do good umbrella. Yes, I understand the Google reference, but I just generally think that's where I'm aligned. So those are my answers.
Anyone except for possibly Elon Musk is actively trying to create evil AI right now.
Grok
is
give us your opinion, Craig.
Grok, he's very much trying to create the neutral AI, or the AI that isn't politically correct in the way that Claude and OpenAI are. And people have varying opinions about whether that means it's just creating the evil AI or creating the AI that's not politically biased.
Interesting. Okay, well, I know there's more to come. I think that we would love to continue the conversation with you, Craig. But to close us out, I have one burning question, and that's the question of the title. Craig, in your opinion, well, we're going to state that EVM is ready, but in your opinion, is AI?
I think AI is about as ready for EVMS as most humans are.
Okay.
Whether that is a good endorsement of it, I don't quite know.
Well, we hope this podcast gets more people ready for EVM, and so the AI as well.
I know I learned a lot. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and that's it from
Let's Talk
EVM.
EVM.